Hello, everybody. We are live. Welcome to my May Energy Update live stream. As you can see here, I'm on location, going live from out here in the desert. And this is a very special energy update. So thank you guys for joining the chat and really spending your Friday with me today, because we've got big energy to talk about. Like my other past few updates, we're going to look at a massive theme. And, sometimes I break this down separately throughout the update. We're going to bring a lot of this together, mostly because we can think of the energy this month as having this one massive important theme, and then almost like these tentacles giving us this higher perspective. So with that, the massive theme this month is oneness. In May, it is the time to embody unity consciousness, to totally reach and embody this state of oneness, meaning that cosmic force that operates each and every one of us, operates the trees. It's within the insects. It's within all of us together. And when we are in this state, this higher state of unity consciousness, we do not get sucked in to the separation consciousness and taxis that and really things that put us in that state of fear. And this oneness is on the backdrop of May energy, which I've called before timeless May. So if you guys watched my update last year, you may sense this in the month. There's always this sense of like, May feels like I'm in this suspended animation. And so when we are in this state, it actually allows us to drop into that experience of being the all and connected to everybody. And with this said too, and hello guys, hello my friends here in the chat. I do have an expert on this. My special guest today is about to come out. She has made videos on this, teaches this. You know what? Let's just do it. Sarah, will you come out? Let's have the alchemist come out and join us today.
She tried to hold me back, you guys. She said I was never going to be on one of the film sets again.
Mm-hmm.
You guys brought me back.
Mm-hmm.
How are you today?
Yeah. So if you remember my crystal videos I did in December, she came in and, made it a little bit controversial, I want to say.
I had to bring the heat.
Yes. Okay. Well, she's bringing the heat for us today. So Sarah, oneness, unity consciousness. Do you want to just share something with the audience today?
Yes. So I have a funny story. I had awoken into unity consciousness or oneness in a very spiritually violent event, shall we say, during a ceremony. I wrote a poetry book called Ceremony based off of that ceremony. And all of my poetry was focused on that after that event. My largest awakening to date. And so I had been talking about what I had experienced through my art, through my YouTube channel, through my teachings. It became literally my focal point. I went, nothing else matters if we don't first understand this oneness.
Yes.
So I talk about it in every single form possible. And Susie's there the whole time going like, yeah, it's so important. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, no, I understand. And then... And then she watches this Octopus documentary.
My Octopus teacher.
And how long ago is this?
Oh, man. I can't remember.
So she watches this My Octopus documentary, and she starts explaining to me,
woman-splaining to her
what oneness is. But she wasn't calling it oneness. She wasn't calling it unity consciousness. She wasn't calling it enlightenment. None of the things that I have been talking about forever now, literally over a decade, by the way. She was not calling it that. She was like, yeah, so now I go into the state that I call, and I've realized I call it octopus consciousness.
Octopus consciousness is what I call oneness.
And I'm like, no, that's what I've been talking about. That's unity consciousness. It's where you're in the other being's experience, and you experience all of reality as God, for lack of a better term, as source consciousness. We are all one at that level. She's like, no. It's called octopus consciousness.
I mean,
and I was like, but I literally am talking about oneness all the time.
Well, see, that's the point of this energy update. It was, I've heard it, but what activates you? Octopus. That is what activated me. And I said, we're going to bring this energy update like together. We're not doing it separate. The animal totem of the month is the octopus. Okay. So we're going to talk about this now too. So basically, I'm watching this movie. I'm watching this octopus survive, getting chased by a shark. And then I'm watching it need its own food, and it just blew my mind. And I was like, well, what about the turtle's perspective? And I never really came down from that high of seeing it all. And that's why this theme is so important, because like I mentioned earlier, there's so much separation tactics going on. There's just so much judgment. And so even when I, in my human error, find myself looking at something, about to say something, I go into complete empathy and compassion. I go into octopus. So yeah.
You go into oneness.
I go into octopus.
Look, an octopus is not getting credit for my career, all right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And we talked about this. She was talking about oneness on our last retreat. And we were describing that if we would look at it as an octopus, the head of the octopus would be the oversoul, right?
Actually, she's right. We broke down the octopus's physical form as a fractal of the oversoul, and it is so succinct. It is not even like, well, kind of. It is literally identical. It is, you could perfectly overlay it onto the oversoul, because one, it has like a giant head, right? And then these streams or tentacles, and those tentacles could be like the extensions of its soul stream that first start off closer to it as like the higher self. But then once you get to the very end of each tentacle, that could be like the individuated soul stream at that point. And then talk about the suction cup.
Well, if we look at the octopus and the suction cups, that's where most of their neurons are. So when we think about the tentacles are out there getting the information, think of them as being in the incarnation, having those experiences, feeding that up to the oversoul.
So we're going to trademark and copyright oneness as an octopus. No, just kidding.
Exactly. It's octopus consciousness. And, if this is resonating with you guys, that's how I often, find my soul family. When you talk about octopus or even that movie, people flip out. They go, yes, I have that same response, because if we think about them, they look like these aliens. They look like they have come here with this information for us. And seeing an octopus moving forward in May, when you see this symbol everywhere, it is another reminder of our multidimensionality. We can even think of each tentacle as another density, another experience, and helping us keep that higher perspective. Exactly.
So I'll get out of your way. I just want to say two things on my bulletin board to you guys. One, hi, Irma. Hi, Shannon. Hi, Elizabeth. Hi,
Frank.
I was saving Frank for last.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Hi, Frank. Frank, I love you. I love all of you. But I hope the appetite I got you is treating you well. And hi, Damon.
Hi, Damon.
Hi, all of you guys. Okay, so then, back to business. So one last thing before I get out of you guys' way.
Let's see.
Susan told me a story about that documentary in the octopus thing. And she talked about this one scene in it. I have not seen it, but
it's amazing.
I can put my tentacles on her information and just gather it that way. And it was a beautiful documentary. I highly recommend everybody watch it.
Yeah.
You guys have to watch it. But there was this one part that she told me about where the octopus had covered herself in these beautiful seashells in order to survive and hide herself. And then when she told me that story, I actually fell in love with an octopus. And like, I've never like fallen in love, like with, like a thing before. But then like, I fell in love with like her soul. Like I fell in love with like her heart. Cause it was like, wow, she's so resilient. Okay. So I love you guys and I'll see you guys later. I'll see
us.
you later.
Yes, thank you for joining us. What a treat.
Yeah.
Should we bring her on more often?
No.
Oh wow, no, I think we should, you guys. Oh yes, and I also want to say hi to my friend here, Irina from Northern Ireland. So look at all of you guys joining us today. And I want to say one thing. So when the octopus, it like rolled itself into a ball and is covering itself with seashells, it like its ability to not just survive is amazing, but they're also going to be a symbol for us to thrive here. They're so smart. And that's what's so amazing. And that's why it's also the animal totem of the month as well, because this is something that's going to activate all of us individually. Back in February, I was in Boulder and I went to the Shambhala Center. It was empty. I had the whole shrine to myself. And I'm like, okay, the guy kind of lets me have the space. He leaves. As soon as I sit down, I just start crying. I dropped so quickly into oneness, into seeing the all. And I felt like I was crying for source. I felt like I was crying. And these weren't sad tears. I was just so overwhelmed with this rush and feeling it. And so it's not like you can shock someone into awakening into this and be like, okay, May's the month you do it. I understand you guys watching this truly understand this concept, but you'll really embody it with how you see people, how you interact with the world. And that's why it's so important. So I go into this meditation at Shambhala Center. As soon as I leave, I go down the street, Boulder Bookstore, book, I walk right in, boom, octopus on the cover. Then I see two more. Then I see street art. So these symbols really follow us. We've seen this, right, with all the different animal totems I brought into these updates. And that's what's so amazing about the octopus too. It's an activation. It's also going to remind you to channel. If you're a channeler, it helps with activating a lot of the clair senses as well. It totally represents psychic abilities. Like I said, multidimensionality. There is so much going on with what it can mean for all of us, right? Together, individually, but really it's like when you see it too, ask yourself, okay, am I in judgment? Am I judging myself? It is truly all encompassing. One of my favorite shows, I talk about this a lot on the retreat, is called the OA. I know many of you have seen it. You might have seen season 2. They have that giant octopus, right? That's like channeling and giving that information. I think if so many of us have resonance with it and we see what it can represent and activate, but we know it's such a symbol of the other worlds. It can represent the unknown too, what we've yet to explore within ourselves. That's why it's such an activator. I'm going to check the chat real quick here. So, oh yes, Other Minds, Shannon. I have that book. That's another one. The Soul of an Octopus is another one too. Damon, I loved Sense8. So absolutely here too. It's truly something that's about activating this. So like I said too, the connection with soul family, the reminder of our multidimensionality, but really like that almost like responsibility we signed up for, right? To come down here, to live our life, to feed this information throughout the multiverse. And we're here, right, as these representatives of Source doing this amazing work. And another thing I want to point out in May. So, sometimes these aren't really astrology heavy updates. Just pay attention to May 12th when we have I believe we call it the flower full bloom moon that we have going on. That's because, spring is like really blooming. The flowers are all blooming. And we can think of this too as a symbol of that oneness. Think of everything that needs to come together for a flower to really bloom. And then us on the other perspective, admiring it, right? And seeing the beauty that comes to us too. So this whole concept of unity consciousness, octopus consciousness, let this really marinate with you guys. And then even pay attention to your thoughts from May 12th and after that. You're going to see a lot of acceleration, a lot of synchronicity. Would not be surprised if you see the number 8. One of you, yes, Damon mentioned the number 8 here too. So it's a really exciting month because look what we're embodying. One of the most important concepts, truly the reason why we're here, to awaken into this. And if we also think about the octopus, think about how high frequency it is, right? When you watch that documentary we just mentioned, you can feel this frequency of this octopus. And you know how Sarah mentioned too, feeling like so much love for it. You see the documentarian, like I truly believe he was in love with that octopus. So if this doesn't activate you, I think a lot of the other symbolism we discussed today and the crystal of the month is going to do that too. So I'm glad to see your guys' response to what we've been talking about so far, in this chat here today too. And, the other big thing in May is now that we are thinking about oneness, the month is really about recreating like new reference points for ourselves and repatterning. And so this is why I want to draw your attention to my Breaking Energetic Contracts video. This is one of my most important tools. And so if you have something come up for you, if you feel judgment, if you feel a lot of like inner turmoil, or you're really going deep into shadow work this month, which is a perfect month to do that actually, this information, like all of this coming together, is going to show you, okay, what pattern am I constantly playing? What's keeping me from octopus consciousness, right? What's keeping me out of that state of oneness? So in this video, I give you a template to break a pattern and then repattern it. So a common contract many people have is something that says, okay, nothing ever works out for me, right? Super common one. Maybe someone's more in like victim consciousness. We in real time, we rescind that contract. We say, no, I rescind that contract. My new contract says everything always works out for me, or everything always works out in my higher favor, right? Or my highest favor. So the whole point of this exercise is to catch something that's constantly repeating. That is the energetic contract, right? So these aren't soul contracts. And then we clear it, we repattern it with a new positive intention. I have the whole template for you. And then we burn this exercise. This is a shamanic exercise, right? We use the fire, our alchemical element, to repattern and send that new positive energetic contract back up into the quantum. So I will drop the link for that in the description for this video. May is the month to do this. Trust me, you want to be nice and clear and repatterned before we go into the summer solstice in June. And then, of course, moving into the Lions Gate in August. We're in a really exciting window. That's why you really want to think about oneness. You want to embody it. You want it to show up with how you talk to people, with how you treat people. This is the time for that too. So definitely check out that video. I'm glad so many of you too have already checked this out here too. And so a few more themes that I want to discuss here too. So we mentioned our flower full moon. We're going to really blossom and come into abundance. And, you know, abundance consciousness, money is an element if we think about it that way, right? Money is just energy. This is about seeing the abundance in everything, having an abundance of health, of gratitude, of just connection. That is the consciousness that we drop into when we're so connected and we feel and we see the all, and we know that the universe is always abundant. That type of energy is just going to really blossom in May. So it's such an exciting month. I know last year we talked about this timelessness I just mentioned. I'm going to just rephrase that real quick. We know we're outside of space and time. This is not breaking news to anyone too. But what I want you to do in May is have a few moments to really tap into what this feels like. That just means sitting in stillness for like 10 minutes, right? A day. Drop in, feel that stillness. And then I'm sure that feeling of oneness and connection to all, oh yeah, you're going to feel that way, way deeper on probably one of the deepest levels. And that's what integration and embodiment is all about too, right? We think about these things and then it just starts happening automatically. We say, hey, you know what? I don't want to say that to that person because I can actually see my life through their perspective. If I was born in a different country, if I was raised with that childhood, wow, maybe I would act that way. That's the embodiment of that. And that's what's so important. And when we think of that, that's true unconditional love. And that is the biggest way we can really repattern anything. So really be in that headspace in May. That's why it's such an important theme. That's why it's truly the theme of this month. And then we're already talking about what does that mean with octopus consciousness. Well, it's going to constantly be a reminder. So totally, like I recommend with all the animal totems, you can print out a picture, you can watch that documentary. Something is going to really inspire you with them too. A few more facts before we go into the crystal of the month here. So with the octopus, they're very curious. You can see in like different documentaries, they'll give them like a ball, or someone even gave them like a GoPro, and they just take it back to their little nest. They hang out with it. They return in what they want. They have a world that we truly cannot understand, that I think we're begging to understand in some respects, but it's the frequency that we can understand. That's why these animal totems are such a big part of these energy updates. I can say something like this to you and you all have something in it that really just kind of inspires you about that. And so along with the curiosity with them too, they have like, it's funny, their eyes are actually quite similar to ours, but they have no blind spots. So that literally is a metaphor for the fact that they can see from all perspectives, right? So when we think of the octopus, remember, higher perspectives in May. And, if you're in conflict with someone, remember Octopus. That does not mean you block out, your feelings and you're not setting boundaries. Obviously, you're doing that because that's coming from love, right? That's part of this experience. But what it does mean too is like, okay, what am I giving my energy to? Do I want to take this higher perspective on this? Have that moment of reflection. That's going to get you very far in May. So let's see what else we need to talk about. How about we talk about the crystal of the month, which is somewhere in this chair. Okay. You guys ready for the crystal of the month? This one's been a long time coming. There you go, my friends. Obsidian. Yes. May Obsidian. This is what's going on. And I mentioned, so just take a look at this pyramid. I mentioned earlier, shadow work. This is one of the #1 crystals for this. Obsidian, if you have never worked with it, it is going to shock that ego. It is going to wake you up. It is going to take what we have buried. It is going to bring it forward. There could be a purge. There could be a detox effect. If you have not worked with obsidian before, it is a teacher, just like the octopus. So we want to be open to obsidian's medicine. Like I said here, let me give you more of a moment to bond with it. We want to be open to the medicine of the octopus. Oh, I forgot to show you guys my octopus ring that I'm super excited about. Yeah, I've been rocking the octopus. Love everything about it. So a few more things. It is associated with Sagittarius. And, there's some discourse on, is this associated with Pluto? So it's funny. It's not associated with Jupiter. Or is it Saturn? Some schools say Saturn. I do get more of a Plutonian energy from it. And the reason is because what it uncovers. It accelerates us, but also, we know Saturn's a teacher too, a little bit more harsh, those lessons, more discipline. With the Plutonian energy, it's very expansive. So that's what's really cool about it too. And really with obsidian, it is your #1 psychic protection crystal. This is what I recommend for so many of my clients. So if you want like your psychic protection toolkit, I would on your nightstand put some obsidian, some selenite, and some blue calcite. Perfect for that. It pairs beautifully with October's crystal of the month, black tourmaline. So think of how much protection you would get when you pair it together. Now it's said if you pair it with moldavite can even raise the vibration of the obsidian. I have not experimented with that together, but definitely combine. Like I always recommend here, bring these into your grids. A few more things here too. So you may know obsidian is called volcanic glass. We know that it's super sacred to the Native Americans, to ancient Egyptians. You may be familiar with the Apache tear, obsidian. And what's interesting is that is actually used to heal grief. That's what it represents, the shedding of tears. And it's also such a sacred stone. It was used by warriors. It was used in arrowheads, as we know. I definitely, as a child, had an affinity. My family would always go up to Lake Arrowhead and Big Bear, and I'd always get these little obsidian arrowheads, like obsessed with them, collecting them. A lot of people do use obsidian to clear cut all kinds of hooks, cords, and energy strands. So you might see like a crystal store selling in the shape of a knife. I'm not going to use that on anyone. You're going to use it to cut cords, also to detox, to literally cut out, clear toxins energetically, symbolically from the body. So don't cut yourself with it. It's very sharp. We use it, a few inches above to draw energy out. It can create a very strong emotional detox. If you have it as a homeopathic, you want someone kind of monitoring that for you because it's used to pull out toxins out of the body. And so if you do use it on yourself, if it's too intense for you, you can pair it with rose quartz and selenite, and that's just going to harmonize the body. So really cool stuff. Now, I mentioned also its connection to shadow work. So if you've never worked with it before, there's a lot of different things I've heard about this. So it's used for scrying, like the Aztecs would use like flat sheets of it for that. Some people say if you look into an obsidian crystal ball, it's going to do something. It's going to activate you. I read one account where this healer said that she, like for 3 weeks, was out. I don't know what that meant. She said she wiped her out, had to process for like 3 weeks. I've not done that. Some people even keep it covered. They're like, this is too powerful. I do keep some golden sheen obsidian by me too. And what's great about that is when we see gold, it does bring in that element of abundance, but really golden sheen obsidian specifically helps heal any like abuse of power. So if you've been a victim of someone abusing their power, or if you feel like you have in this life, in a past life, obsidian's gonna balance that out and really heal deeply those relationships in your life. It's actually going to clear them. Okay. So if you're not ready to purge something, don't work with obsidian. It's a powerful teacher. It's not for the weak. If you are afraid to go into change, well, you know what? Obsidian's going to drop you right in there. That's why this crystal is so important here too. So, I was really drawn to bringing it as a pyramid. I do have some obelisks. That's something that, I personally like to work with. I do recommend crystal balls in the sense of like how it'll distribute and disseminate the energy in a room. So a few more facts about obsidian, super helpful for grounding. If you need like extra grounding support, you pair this with smoky quartz, you are good. And what I love about it is it actually supports grounding in the exact same way I teach grounding for my clients who do quantum sphere healing with me, but also on Serenai's alchemy retreat. So basically, back of the tailbone, that connection of dropping the grounding cord from that point into the heart of Gaia, that's what obsidian's going to do for you. It's going to help you lock in, connect to that space, and then ground much more deeply. So that's what you want to do. That's exactly how you use it for grounding. I want to highlight what Irma said here in the chat because it's really important. Yes, it reflects the shadow, the underworld right back at you. And you know what? It is going to go deep in that subconscious for you. So that's why it's so powerful and it shakes people up. What's really cool is I'm going to bring up Leslie Franks again, not Lisa Frank. Leslie Franks. What she says about it is that it's actually used to treat shock. And the reason it is really cool because what do we know about it? Well, at one point, obsidian was lava, right? And then it suddenly cools, it gets shocked into obsidian. So that shock, that pattern, that is what's taken and into the crystal, that information. So if someone's in shock, that's what's going to heal them. Or, if someone is not in shock, they may kind of get shocked into looking at something. Maybe that will create a healing crisis for the better. Maybe it'll shake things up, create whatever chaos is needed. Because, right, shock can teach us, it can awaken us. Sometimes someone's not ready for a massive change and it can look very chaotic, but either way, it is going to create some healing. So this is a very shamanic stone as well. That's what it's known for. It's very much valued for those reasons. And, the ancient Egyptians did bury their pharaohs with this. It did protect their spirits, it protected their grave sites. Not to like depress everyone and make them cry, but I think about this often because it's kind of coming up on the anniversary of this. But when my cat Bane passed away in the last week of his life, obsidian was the crystal that was supporting him the most. So I did bury him with it. And, had a little beautiful burial for him. And we have some coyotes near my property and they tried to come into that gravesite. They were not able to get into it. You could see kind of the digging around. My baby was protected. So it's just so important and sacred to me for that reason too, for my little pharaoh got that protection. So very, very beautiful, powerful crystal, means a lot to me. I thank it for that. That could have been very traumatic. So in addition to everything else. So really exciting stuff here too. A few more things I want to see here. So before we kind of wrap up too, obsidian shields all kinds of negative energy. It's just going to throw that back. It is known as a psychic vacuum, but also think of when we have negative thoughts, it protects us from our own negative thoughts, from turning into something physical and actually manifesting some sort of illness from that. So that's why it's so important. It clears on the emotional plane, the mental plane, the spiritual plane. Truly is the perfect stone for me. Between this and the octopus and connecting to oneness, what's really great is that if we talk about obsidian and its role of bringing up the shadow and helping us process, well, how we get to unconditional love, this is all done through the inner work that we need to do, right? When we look at ourselves, we look at those difficult emotions and we process them, we transmute that energy into love. I mean, that's what it's all about here too. So that's what this crystal is going to help us do. That's why, you know what? It's sacred for a lot of reasons too. Thank you guys for right now. Yeah, my little barrel here too. It is definitely good too. Obsidian for astral protection. So you guys doing that astral work, go for it too. And there's a lot. There's rainbow obsidian. I mentioned the golden ones more for like manifestation work too. With black obsidian, it has so many powerful uses. I really want you to like remember the takeaway with this is like, if you want to make massive change in your life, very big, important moves that are going to accelerate your healing, that's why you're going to want obsidian. So what do you guys think here? In the chat here, it's pretty good stuff here too. Oh, and this is something you do want to cleanse in the sun for like 24 hours. Yeah. Think of how much negativity it's repelling for you. I know that one recommendation too is like some people will run it under warm water first for like 20 minutes, then charge it in the sun. I do like to clear a lot of my stones on selenite and then obsidian, tourmaline, shungite. I do like to charge in the sun too. So, see whatever resonates with you, but that's definitely important. And yes, wear it as a shield. It's absolutely a shield, Irma. I'm so glad you guys are excited with this. This really is an important one too. And, bringing this kind of back together with what we're doing with Octopus consciousness, you want to go higher. And even though obsidian is a grounding stone, it's grounding you so that you can go into the depths of the soul, of the subconscious. And that's what also makes it so multidimensional, right? We're doing so much at once, but it's going to help accelerate us in so many areas here in life. So I'm really happy that you guys are resonating with this too. And, one more thing to kind of recap here with Octopus. I mentioned it can activate us. When you see it too, like let it remind you of the sense of adventure and curiosity that they can bring. They have so many heightened senses, and what we know from past animal totems on my updates is that is a good sign for the different clairs, but it also is a sign of discernment too, right? So discernment is something that's so important, we know, on this spiritual path. So seeing an octopus, that might also be a reminder for you too, that you can operate in this world using those tentacles to really explore while being discerning, right? While still protecting yourself, but also like seeing life through that lens of an explorer. And there's a lot of joy there. And what we do know with the inner child work that I teach is that inner child always likes that sense of exploration and adventure. So some really cool themes here too. Let's see here. Yes, thank you for recommending the Stone Medicine book, Irma, for reminding us. That's super important. With all the information I share with crystals, I highly recommend that book by Leslie Franks if you want to learn how to make your own homeopathic. So do you guys have any questions for me at all before we wrap up this update here? Let's see here. And thank you guys too for your all this stuff here. It's so nice to connect. And so, well, if you guys don't have any questions for me, I want to thank you for watching this live stream today and thanking Sarah for stopping by. So let's kind of take a step back here with May. We're going to really embody this theme of oneness. We're going to have our hearts open. We're going to explore. We've got that obsidian that's going to protect us when we need that, so we can just go ahead, do our work, keep awakening, keep expanding. And then, you know what? We've got octopus consciousness, right? And when we can see things from this perspective, how can you not thrive, right? I know there's so much going on in this world. There's so many things that people are struggling with. Then when we go into that state of octopus, into that state of oneness, we can truly be here and trust that we're expanding ourselves and everyone around us with this beautiful work. So thank you guys so much for joining me, and I will see you very soon for the June update. So have a beautiful night.